All right, this lesson's on angles of elevation and depression. It's some applications that deal with us in trigonometry. You might have to find an angle, you might have to find a side, but basically just a section on applications of trigonometry we learned about last week. So here we go. Front page, we talk about angles of elevation. It says when looking up to an object, the angle of elevation is formed by an observer's line of sight, right here, and a horizontal line right here. So this angle right here is your angle of elevation. All right, 4 problems. It says draw and label a diagram, then solve for the missing parts, round to the nearest tenth. Remember, your calc has to be in degree mode. Make sure your calc is in degree mode. All right, here we go. It says Casey sights the top of an 80-foot tall lighthouse at an angle of elevation of 58 degrees. All right, so here we go. We got Casey, who is 6 feet tall. Says, how far is he standing from the lighthouse? So we got this tall lighthouse. Good enough. That is 84 feet tall, right? All right, so we're trying to figure out, here's the horizontal line. Here is the line of sight. And we got to figure out what is that angle of elevation right there. Oh, it tells us the angle of elevation is 58 degrees. Sorry. That's a 58 in there. The question is, how far is Casey standing from the lighthouse? All right, they got enough information here. But the first piece we got to figure out is how far is it from here to here? Well, if the whole thing is 84 feet, and Casey is 6 feet of that, we got to subtract to get this piece right here. So 84 minus that 6 is 78 feet. All right, just like trig, label the pieces. Here's my angle. Across the triangle is opposite. The piece right next to me is adjacent. And remember, recall from last section, guys, SOHCAHTOA. Sine equals opposite of hypotenuse. Cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent equals opposite over adjacent. So in this case, we got the O and the A. We're going to use tangent. All right, so tangent is the equation. Tangent of 58 degrees equals opposite over adjacent, 78 over x. And recap, if the variable's on the bottom, we have to divide. So I would type in 78 divided by tangent 58. If you do that correctly, you should get 48.7 feet. Next one. Number 2. The angle of elevation from a kicker's foot on the football field to the top of the goalpost bars is 17 degrees. All right, so there's your football. And we'll draw our stuff. Angle, 17 degrees. If he is standing 130 feet, 1 feet from the base of the goalpost, so bottom, 131 feet. How tall is the goalpost? We don't know. Call it X. Okay, there's your 90. Label the pieces. Across the triangle is opposite. Next to me is adjacent. O and the A, I'm going to use tangent. So tangent of 17 equals opposite X over adjacent 131. If variable is on top, we multiply. So I would type in 131 times tangent 17. If you do that correctly, you should get 40.1 feet. Number 3. Lee's mom is standing at the bottom of the slide at the playground, waiting for Lee to slide down. If the angle of elevation from the bottom of the slide to the top is 46 degrees, all right. So let's just kind of draw a slide. Angle of elevation is 46 degrees. The slide has a vertical height of 9 feet. Verticals up and down, 9 feet. Find the length of the slide. I don't know it. Call it X. There's my 90. Label the pieces. Across the triangle is opposite. Across the 90 is your hypotenuse. You have the O and the H to work with, which means you're going to use sine. So sine of 46 equals opposite 9 over hypotenuse X. Variables on the bottom, you need to divide. Type in 9 divided by sine 46. If you do that correctly, you should get 12.5 feet. Last one on this page. A dog is standing 5 feet from the base of a tree, looking up at a cat that has climbed 16 feet up the tree. All right, time out. Draw your right triangle. Dog is 5 feet from the tree. The cat is 16 feet up the tree. What is the angle of elevation from the point the dog is standing on the ground to the cat? So dog's here, cat's up here. What is this angle of elevation? Label. Across is opposite. Next to me is adjacent. O and the A, we use tangent. So tangent of X equals opposite 16 over adjacent 5. Finding a missing angle, guys. Remember, this is the one where you got to apply your inverse trig ratios. So in this case, I'm going to multiply both sides by inverse tangent. Remember, that looks like tangent to the -1. Left side, they cancel out. Bring down the X. Then in your calcs, type in second button first, then the tangent to bring up the inverse tangent, then type in 16 divided by 5. So inverse tangent, 16/5 equals 72.6 degrees. Backside. Angles of depression. It says when looking down to an object, the angle of depression is formed by an observer's line of sight and a horizontal line. All right, so here's my horizontal line, here's my line of sight, and here is the angle of depression. What's unique about this, so the second piece over here, the angle of depression is congruent to the angle of elevation because they are alternate interior angles. So this angle right here is the same as this angle right here. These are alternate interiors, back from first semester. All right, draw and label a diagram, solve the missing part, run the nearest 10th. Make sure once again that you are in degree mode. If you're not, you're gonna get them all wrong. All right. Lifeguard is sitting on the platform looking down at a swimmer, kind of like this thing right here. You might use this diagram. The lifeguard's line of sight is 8 feet above the ground. All right, we're just going to use this guy. He's 8 feet above the ground. The angle of depression of the swimmer is 18 degrees, which remember, that's the same thing as right there, right? Because they're alternate interiors. How far away is a swimmer from the lifeguard? We don't know. Call it X. All right, label the pieces. Across the triangle is opposite. Right next to me is adjacent. O and the A, we're going to use tangent. So tangent of 18 equals opposite 8 over adjacent X. Variables on the bottom, you need to divide. Type in 8 divided by tangent 18. Answer comes out to be 24.6 feet. Number 6. A pilot in a helicopter spots a landing pad below. If the angle of depression is 73 degrees and the horizontal distance to the pad is 1,200 feet, what is the altitude of the helicopter? Okay, so let's draw your right triangle. Here's your little helicopter, whatever that is right there. All right, information. Angle of depression, so here's my horizontal line, is 73 degrees. Remember, put that inside. Those are alternate interiors. The horizontal distance is 1,200. What is the altitude of the helicopter? Remember, altitude is how tall it is, right? So I don't know how tall it is. We call it X. Okay, label the pieces. Across the triangle is opposite. Next to you is adjacent. O in the A, tangent. Tangent of 73 equals opposite X over adjacent 1200. Variables on top, you got to multiply. Type in 1200 times tangent 73. Answer comes out to be 3,925 feet. Number 7. So we got two buildings here. We have building A is 480 feet and building B is 654 feet. All right, so let's do this real quick. Building A, 480. Building B, 654. The angle of depression from the top of building B to the top of building A is 42 degrees. All right, so here we go. Let's connect these buildings. So remember now, angle of depression is always right here. That's 42. Remember, you got to plug that inside. These are alternate interiors. Then it says how far apart are the buildings? Well, I don't know. Call it X. But I do know this distance right here. If I take the 654 and I subtract out the 480, I can get this distance right here. And when I do that, I'm left with 174. All right. 90's right here. Label the pieces. Across the triangle is opposite. Next to me is adjacent. O in the A, I'm going to use tangent. So tangent of 42 equals opposite 174 over adjacent X. Variables on the bottom, you got to divide. Type in 174 divided by tangent 42. Comes out to be 193.2 feet. Last one. Zach is standing at the top of a lookout tower and spots a water fountain below. If the lookout tower is 75 feet tall, all right, let's draw my triangle. Lookout tower, 75 feet. The angle of depression is 28. So remember, once again, depression is up here, but you got to put it inside because they're alternate interior. What is the horizontal distance between Zach and the water fountain? All right, horizontal distance, I don't know, I call it X. Label the pieces, 75 is opposite, and X is your adjacent. You can use tangent again. So tangent of 28 equals opposite 75 over adjacent X. Variables on the bottom, you need to divide. Type in 75 divided by tangent 28. If you do that correctly, it comes out to be 141.1 feet. That is it for angles of elevation and depression. I also attached to this section, guys, some trig review. I'm not going to do this with you, but if you want to practice this, then check the answer key on the Google Classroom. You can do that as well. So you got some ratios, you got some missing sides and angles, and then it continues up top. And then you also have angles of elevation and depression. So this would be a good review for you guys to work on by yourselves for those quizzes at the end of the week here. So that's it.